All right, just hand me the baggie with the canisters filled with chemicals. We're gonna have to get these developed. Let's get started. Hey, it's John from Adults Have Toys Too. So this is the third part in an ongoing film photography series, and I got something really special for you guys today. We're here at Richard Photo Lab, and we're going to go and get a tour of the lab and talk to one of the managers here. Let's go ahead and get started. Hi, I'm John.
Hey John, I'm Bill.
Hi, thanks for having me. Yeah, absolutely.
My name is Bill Pine. I'm the general manager of Richard Photo Lab.
All right, so we're here at Richard Photo Lab, which is not Richard's Photo Lab.
No, it's Richard Photo Lab.
Yeah, so tell me the story behind that.
Richard was an Asian immigrant. He started the lab in the 70s. And so it was not his first language, and it just kind of stuck.
Yeah, so it's kind of like you're sending it to Richard rather than going to Richard's lab.
Yeah, it's straight to Richard. Well, we are collectively Richard. We're
Right.
all Richard. Yeah, everyone here is Richard.
I like
and
that.
that really is the way. That's the way we approach it.
Yeah, and obviously you are one of the few survivors of the film labs all kind of going out of business and the decline of film photography.
Yeah, and I think that that's been really cool, sort of evolution of Richard, is that as film labs fell, we were able to take the best people from the film community and roll them into Richard. And so those folks who were really dedicated to the craft and really loved what they were doing, they stuck. Other people were like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore, and they moved on to other things. But those who were dedicated and really awesome at what they did, well, they're here now.
Yeah, that kind of takes me to, today digital photography is basically the standard. We look at not only do you have really nice digital cameras, but everybody's got a phone in their pocket that takes magazine quality photos.
Yeah.
So what is it about film photography that really kind of makes it different, or something that is special about film photography?
Well, I mean, I think there's a few things. I think it's special because film is intentional. You have to intentionally shoot film. A lot of people migrate from digital photography to film photography as a way to elevate their business and their craft. When you're shooting film, you have to be very intentional about the way you compose your image. It's not just a shoot, and then go back and find something that works. Film presents a different look. It's a very different look than digital. At the end of the day, it's a smooth, creamy, just a little bit different, more refined look, in my opinion.
You think of film being a slower process, but potentially in the long run you could save time just because you're getting the look you want up front.
Right, it is both, because they're not looking at the back of their camera when they're shooting. They're depending on what they see through the lens. I think they're interacting with their client or their subject a lot more, and that's really when the magic of photography happens. It's not about the technical stuff, well, what aperture were you, or what film was it, or any of that. The magic of photography happens when a photographer connects with a client, connects with their subject, makes magic happen by communicating with their eyes or making them feel a certain emotion, and then capturing that in the moment. And if you're not obsessed on all the technical stuff, then you can actually make that happen a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great point. So let's say I have some film that I want to develop. So what is the benefit of coming to a film lab like this versus just dropping it off at Walgreens or Walmart or whatever?
Right, well, a pro lab is going to manage film a little differently than a grocery store. It's really what we do, it's our passion. Our equipment, as you've seen some of this stuff, and how we keep our shop and how we keep our technical instruments in tip-top shape. It happens with the chemistry all the way across the board. I mean, we're a lab, and we manage things a lot tighter. Our clients demand it. It's really the time where our client is taking the film out of their camera, sending it to us. It's the time that they're out of control. They're not in control. Out of control is not the best term, but they don't have that control. the most important thing that a photographer does is really that capture what they put on that piece of film, and that's where the most amount of creativity happens, where the most amount of control happens. But then they take it out and they send it to the lab. And so sending it to a lab that's very focused on quality and does excellent work is hugely important.
And hugely important is right. Let's take a closer look. The adventure starts at receiving, where boxes come from all over the country to Richard Photo Lab in Santa Clarita to be processed. They're organized and labeled to ensure that none of the customer's photos are mismatched or sent to the wrong place. They're placed onto racks and then brought into the darkroom, where they're processed in a dip and dunk film processor.
All right, so we can go light, and we're gonna run in here and take a look at the film processing.
All right, awesome.
I'll meet you on the other side.
I'll see you on the other side. Off he goes. All right, going into the darkroom. And welcome to the darkroom.
It's a little tight in here, but you don't want a lot of space, right?
Sure.
So the operator's going to load the film right here, and he'll pull it forward like this in the rack and start stripping these and grabbing clips and putting it here. We can take some, or provide you with some video from the IR cameras that you can see. From that point, we move it over here to this machine, where it senses through proximity sensors whether it's a push or a pull, the replenishment that's required to replenish the chemicals that are used by the rack and the rolls on the rack, and then it's transported into the machine. The first tank there is a developer tank. This is going to transport the racks forward here. And that's a rack of 120 film and a control strip there on the front, which is precisely exposed, and we read it on a densitometer regularly to manage the processing chemicals.
Yeah, I can see that gradient on there. The only reason we can see the film here is because it's beyond the developing phase. It's now in the fixing phase, which is not light sensitive.
So it goes from the developer to the bleach. It gets washed and then into a fixed tank, which removes the silver from the film, and then through the wash tanks and the final rinse tank, and finally into the dryer on this end. The bubbles that you see are what agitates the chemistry and adjusts the chemistry over the surface of the film to get an even process. The chemistry is also circulated through the tank and really tightly managed for temperature. So there's heaters, filtration on every single tank, and so there's circulation of the tanks and also agitation of the tanks. So circulation is moving the chemical through the tanks, and agitation is moving the chemical over the surface of the film.
This dip and dunk technique is incredibly important to the quality development that happens at Richard Photo Lab. Nothing touches the film, no hands, no rollers, just pure chemicals.
See the difference in the process between the first rack, which has experienced some fixer, and these racks, and the two racks in the back, which have not yet been fixed.
I see that.
And the activity, what the fix actually does, becomes apparent when you can see it in between the separate steps. These are the dryers. Film comes out of the darkroom, transitions into the light through these dryers. These dryers sort of offer a light trap, so that light doesn't go back into the film processing rooms, and we can open the doors here and pull the racks out.
So once it's in here, it's already been developed and it's used to dry.
Yeah, completely done and ready just for the next steps, which are 99% of the time scanning, delivery of digital files, printing, and mailing. So we're in the scanning room, and this is where we will take the film that was processed and scan it, digitize it with these scanners. And we use a Fuji Frontier scanner, and we use Noritsu scanners. Each of the scanners and monitors are, again, just like everything else here at the lab, tightly managed, calibrated, regularly monitors, and everything that all the computers are set to be the same, so operators can move from one scanner to the next. I like to say it's sort of it is an art to do it, because the scanning technicians, their eye is really skilled at this, but we're more artisan based. So what we do is try to do the same thing over and over again. So we get to know our clients, and we scan according to their preferences, to their brand, to the way that they want something to look. And so at that point, it becomes more of a technical end of things. We try to cut some of the creative out of our tasks and leave that to the photographer. It's not our job to be so creative. We hope that they're going to have the vision, and then we can lend our skills to it to achieve that.
So kind of be the tool for the artist.
And then we calibrate and we monitor all of these things technically to maintain absolute consistency through the lab. If you process a roll of film today, next week, or next year, you'll get the same result. And part of that's also been through technology, through working to improve that end of things, as well as just by having the very best people. People are definitely the key.
Sure.
It's not, I mean, the machine is important, absolutely, but without all of these operators and these incredibly skilled people, none of it's possible. We'll trim it up, we're all done, get it ready for shipping.
I just cut by hand.
Cutting by hand, yeah. There are a few different methods of doing it, but this is the best way that we found to do it right now. And yeah, so it gets packaged up and then mailed out.
So online, people are talking a lot about this analog resurgence. A lot of more hobbyists, a lot more people starting to either rediscover or discover film for the first time. Have you seen that from a film lab perspective with the customers you have showing up and pictures coming in, things like that?
Yeah, I think over the last 10 years, we've seen more and more film and among professional photographers and high-end wedding and event photographers, they're really drawn to it for a lot of the reasons that we've spoken about. But also, there's amateurs who are picking it up and young people who are finding a lot of pleasure in shooting film. It's pretty cool.
Here at the lab, I know you develop black and white and then color negatives and color slide film.
Yeah.
So what are some unique challenges with each of those?
Well, each one of those films is a different chemical process. So we're having to process each of them through different equipment. Also, black and white film, for example, there's a huge amount of black and white films, and that's another thing that's people are making all over the world, all these different new film types, and it's pretty cool to see all of that. But with black and white, for example, the development times are all different. So color neg and color transparency film, pretty much the normal processing time is 90% of the film is going through that way. Black and white film, however, every single film type has its own different processing time, different amount of time in the developer, and we're handling each of them a little differently. So that's a little different than the color film types.
So you also develop different film sizes. You get 35 millimeter, you get 120, but there's also some other, more exotic film formats that come through.
Yeah, we're seeing more 110 film. I don't know if you remember those little cassettes.
Sure.
We're seeing that's been reissued, but 4x5 and 8x10 sheet film, land cameras, and we can process up to 1620 sheet. Of film, which is pretty awesome. And then we can also scan that. We have drum scanner that'll scan a big sheet of film. And yeah, it's pretty cool to see the different, how people are capturing. I'm working with a client right now who's shooting 4x5 at weddings.
Oh, that's really cool.
It's awesome, and doing just beautiful portraits, amazing, beautiful portraits in black and white 4x5.
I'm sure, and you can't really go down to your CVS and give them some 4x5 to develop. So like we said before, there's kind of a new generation that's maybe discovering film for the first time, and that could be kind of a intimidating process for them. There's kind of a magic behind it that if you're not familiar with it, it could be kind of hard to wrap your head around. So what would be your advice to somebody who's first discovering film?
Right, not being able to see what you just exposed and having to send it to a lab. I completely understand that. But film has a great latitude. It's very forgiving. Really, you just do it. You just give it a shot. Read up a little bit. If you can capture well on digital, you can capture well on film. You have to understand some of the basic principles of photography, aperture, shutter speed, these sort of things. But yeah, you should just go for it. I think you'll be happy.
Yeah, that's exciting stuff. A lot of people have been really kind of getting interested in it. I think, yeah, taking that first step of just being able to find a cheap camera. I know there's a lot of very cheap, like 90s SLRs out there that you can pick up.
Absolutely. And then I think the other key is to find your lab, find someone who that you can send work to, communicate with, communicate back. Because sometimes the results that people get at first, they're going, like you said, to Walgreen or something like that. They may not be getting great processing, and I don't want to slam on Walgreen. I guess it's just I don't mean Walgreen per se. I just mean it's important to communicate with your lab. It's important to know that from the beginning, you're going to use good film, you're going to expose it well, you're going to have it processed appropriately and well. And then as you scan and as you start to develop your look and start to develop exactly what you're going for, you can communicate with that lab, communicate with us, tell us what it is that you're looking for, what it is that you're going for. Some people are going for a moody look, some people are going for a bright and airy look, some people like warmer colors and some people cooler. And how would anyone know? Well, the only way that we know is through communication, right, and communicating back and forth. And the wonderful relationships that we have with some pretty awesome photographers are really just that, great communication, being able to understand what it is that they want and obtain those results.
Wow, that was pretty awesome. I want to say thanks again to Richard Photolab for allowing me to come by and show you guys what's going on here. The next one in the series is going to be taking those negatives home and seeing some stuff that we can do with them and with the scans. So if you want to see that, be sure to subscribe. But until next time, never stop having fun.